Good evening, this is Dr. Do again. This video is outside of medicine. Continue with reading Psalm and the second part of Psalm 33. I finished the first part. So just briefly, the first part of Psalm 33 is kind of praising and very high spirit, very sing joyful to the Lord, your riches. It is fitting for the upright to praise Him. So basically, it's the praising. And I'll continue to read and finish. I'm going to continue with Psalm 33. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people He chose for His inheritance. From heaven the Lord looks down to see all mankind. From His dwelling place He watches all who live on earth. He who forms the hearts of all, who considers everything they do. No king is saved by the size of his army. No warrior is escaped by his great strength. A horse is a vain hope for deliverance. Despite all its great strength, it cannot save. But the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear Him, on those whose hope is in His unfailing love, to deliver them from death and keep them alive in famine. We wait in hope for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. In Him our hearts rejoice, for we trust in His holy name. May your unfailing love rest upon us, O Lord, even as we put our hope in you. So this is the second part of Psalm 33. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, people He chose for His inheritance. From heaven the Lord looks down and sees all mankind. From His dwelling place He watches all who live on earth. He who forms the hearts of all, who considers everything they do. So this again, previous part, praise the God, like the stars and the songs, all attribute to the God, to the belief. And now it says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people He chose for His inheritance. Again, this is emphasize that His belief and His people's belief. The God He believes is, if you believe that God with them, and those nations and people will be blessed. From heaven the Lord looks down and sees all mankind. From His dwelling place He watches all who live on earth. He who forms the hearts of all, who considers everything they do. So this God they believe is stay dwelling in the high place and look down the heaven and consider every single form of the heart. No king is saved by the size of his army. No warrior escaped by his great strength. A horse is a vain hope for deliverance. Despite all its great strength, it cannot save. This means this just says the limitation of human. If without the God or without the faith, even though you have a strong army, even though you have a strong horse or knight, cannot save. Even though your warriors are strong, but still cannot escape. So still emphasize the faith above the human capacity, above the human limits. But the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear Him, on those whose hope is in His unfailing love, to deliver them from death and keep them alive in the famine. So the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear Him and those whose hope is in His unfailing love. Believe the God will watch over those who believe in Him, to deliver them from death and keep them alive in the famine. Even though the famine, if you recall, Jacob, there's time of 7 years of famine, the God delivered them because in advance sent Joseph to Egypt to save, to storage, and then during the famine time they were all saved and immigrate to Egypt. Move to the Egypt. We wait in hope for the Lord. He is our hope and our shield. In Him our hearts rejoice, for we trust in His holy name. Again says we still, regardless of the knights or the horse, the warriors, the strengths, the armies, regardless of any of those, we just have the hope because of the Lord. In Him our hearts rejoice. We trust in His holy name. We still believe that God can even though we do not have the army, even though we do not have the warriors, even though we do not have those horses or knights, we still can win because we have the God fight with us, be with us. It's a faith, it's a belief. May your unfailing love rest upon us, O Lord, even as we put our hope in you. Make your unfailing love rest upon us, even as we put our hope in you. Just like we put our hope in you, so you still show your love, rest upon us. So we will rest, we will have peace because of your unfailing love, and we put our hope in you. So this is Psalm 33. From the Psalm 33, the main tone is the praise, and to praise how the superior power of the faith, beyond the limits measured by the world, by the army's strength, by the force, by the warriors, by the horse. But regardless all of this, if we with no faith, with no God, still cannot win. So this is basically saying, even though so the praise at the same time the faith, to emphasize the faith. For those probably discouraged, oh, look at them, look at the enemy, they have 10 times amount of army compared to us. How can we win this war? So this is the praise at the same time re-emphasize the faith. And there's sometimes those kind of occasions didn't happen in the history. There's so many cases, so many wars. If you recall, the less army, a smaller army defeated the big, huge amount of army. It happened along the history. So, but I'm not saying they all have the God with this. But this is just to encourage, from praise the God. You know, just saying that the God is so great. We praise the God because the God is so great. What He has done to the forefathers, to Jacob, to Abraham, to Moses, and now to Israel. So start from zero, gradually. Step to step, and win the war. Even though there's some harsh time, there's some famines, even though the army, the strength is not comparable to the enemy, but still, David himself is an example. Was an example used a young. Compared to the giant, he defeated the giant. This is an example to establish his faith so strong. So that's the whole theme for this Psalm 33. So from the Psalm 3, I see the praise because of the faith, because the belief. Otherwise, cannot just praise randomly. So these praises from the heart of faith, heart of belief. At the same time, emphasize we need to hoist up high the belief, even though we have during the time of war, or during the time of famine, during the time of difficulty, troubles, still may your unfailing love rest upon us, O Lord, even as we put our hope in you. Just like we put our hope in you, you do not make our hope in vain. Our belief will be paid off because of your unfailing love rest upon us. So this is the Psalm 33. Again, I see the praise because of the faith, and also the inspiration, very strong, reinforce the faith, the miraculous miracles God has performed for the people, for His people, and because of their belief. So thank you for watching. I will see you next time.